Ever wonder what really goes on inside a major financial player? Not just the trading, but the big decisions, the strategy. Today, we're taking a deep dive into PNB Gilts Ltd. They're a key subsidiary of Punjab National Bank. Our mission: to unpack the important decisions from their latest board meeting and really get into their unaudited financial results for the first quarter of FY26. That's the period ending June 30th, 2025. We want to see what's shaping their path forward. Okay, let's unpack this.
And that board meeting you mentioned, it was held on July 23rd, 2025. Interestingly, it was quite efficient. Started at 11:57 a.m., wrapped up by 1:40 b.p.m. Suggests, a pretty focused agenda, swift work.
Yeah, under 2 hours to cover governance and financials. That's moving quickly. So, okay, beyond the numbers for a moment, what key governance decisions came out of that meeting? Let's start with that auditor appointment.
Right. They've appointed Ms. Pranav Kumar and Associates as their secretarial auditor. And what's quite interesting here is the term length, 5 consecutive years.
Wait, 5 years? That seems quite long.
It is. It runs from the financial year 2025-26 all the way through to 2029-30. It signals a real commitment to, continuity and governance. Now, it's important to note this is subject to shareholder approval at the upcoming annual general meeting, the AGM.
Okay, standard practice there. Tell us a bit about the firm Pranav Kumar and Associates.
Sure. PKA, as they're known, was set up back in 2000 by FCS Pranav Kumar. They're a peer-reviewed firm, which is a mark of quality assurance in the field. They have a whole team, company secretaries, lawyers, cost accountants, chartered accountants. Their services cover a lot of ground: company law, FEMA, legal compliance, project funding, trusts, due diligence, M&A, even winding up in management consultancy. Headquartered in Ghaziabad with branches in Patna and Dehradun.
So a well-established firm with broad expertise. That 5-year term really does suggest stability is a priority for PNB Gilts board.
Exactly. In today's regulatory world, having that kind of long-term relationship can build deep institutional knowledge, making compliance maybe a bit smoother. It potentially helps anticipate challenges.
Okay, so that appointment is tied to the AGM. What are the details for the annual general meeting itself?
The 29th AGM is set for Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Kickoff is at 11:00 a.m. Indian Standard Time. And reflecting current practices and regulatory guidance from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and SEBI, it's going to be held virtually through VCO, AVM, that's video conferencing, or other audiovisual means.
Makes sense. Now, aside from governance, shareholders are always interested in returns. What was decided about the final dividend for the last financial year?
Good question. The board fixed the record date for the final dividend for FY 2024-25. That date is September 10th, 2025.
So anyone holding shares on that date is potentially eligible?
Potentially, yes. But here's the crucial part. The dividend payment itself is conditional. It only gets paid if it's formally declared by the members, the shareholders, at that upcoming AGM.
Ah, okay. So the board recommends, but the shareholders approve.
Precisely. And if it is declared at the AGM, the payout should happen within 30 days from that declaration date.
Got it. Conditional, but the timeline is set if approved. Okay, that covers the keyboard decisions. But underlying all this is the company's actual performance. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about the money. Let's dive into those Q1 FY26 financial results. What are the big headline figures?
All right. For the quarter ending June 30th, 2025, PNB Gilts reported a total income of 56,337.27 lakhs.
Just to clarify for everyone, 1 lakh is 100,000 rupees. So that's what, over 5.6 billion rupees?
Exactly. 563.37 crore rupees, or 5.63 billion. A very significant number for one quarter. Then there's the profit after tax, POT.
Oh.
The bottom line, that came in at 16,007.07 lakhs, which translates to an earnings per share, or EPS, both basic and diluted, of 8.89 rupees.
16,000 lakhs profit. That's substantial. So where did all that income actually come from? Can you break down the revenue sources?
Absolutely. If you look at their revenue from operations, which was the vast majority of the total income at 56,326.51 lakhs, it paints a clear picture. The biggest chunk by far was interest income. That was 40,385.15 lakhs.
Okay, unsurprising for a primary dealer in government securities.
Right. The next major contributor was net gain on securities. This includes both realized gains from sales and unrealized gains from marking their portfolio to market value. That added up to 15,668.92 lakhs. Then you have much smaller bets. Dividend income was just 3.71 lakhs, and fees and commission income brought in 268.63 lakhs.
So overwhelmingly, it's about interest earned on their bond portfolio and gains from trading or holding those securities.
That's the core business, yes. That combination really highlights what PNB Gilts does. They're deeply embedded in the debt markets, especially government securities.
Makes sense. Now, on the other side of the ledger, what about expenses? And how did that exceptional item mentioned affect the pre-tax profit?
Okay, total expenses for the quarter were 35,039.71 lakhs. So if you subtract that from the income, you get profit before exceptional items and tax, which was 21,297.56 lakhs. Now that exceptional item was actually a credit, a positive figure of 3.35 lakhs.
A positive exceptional item. That usually means something good happened unexpectedly.
Exactly. In this case, it was an amount they received relating to a specific security, the 9.60% REI Equipment Finance Limited bond due in 2028. This particular bond had actually been fully written off their books back in the 2021-22 financial year, presumably because they didn't expect to recover anything.
Ah, so it's like finding money they thought was lost. A nice little bonus to the bottom line.
Precisely. A small recovery on something previously written off.
Okay, these Q1 numbers look strong in isolation, but context is key in finance, right? How do they stack up against, say, the previous quarter or the same quarter last year?
That's where the picture gets even more interesting. Let's look quarter on quarter first. So Q1 FY26 compared to Q4 FY25, the quarter ending March 31st, 2025. Total income jumped quite a bit from about 41,884 lakhs up to this quarter's 56,337 lakhs.
That's a big jump sequentially. What about profit?
Even bigger jump there. Profit after tax went from roughly 7,502 lakhs in Q4 to 16,007 lakhs in Q1, more than doubled. And naturally, the EPS followed suit, rising from 4.17 rupees to 8.89 rupees.
Wow, okay. So strong momentum coming into the new financial year. How does it look year on year? Q1 this year versus Q1 last year?
The year-on-year growth is also very impressive. Comparing Q1 FY26 to Q1 FY25, the quarter ending June 30th, 2024, total income increased from about 44,035 lakhs last year to 56,337 lakhs this year. Solid growth. But the profit after tax growth is really remarkable. It surged from 5,344 lakhs in Q1 last year to, again, 16,007 lakhs this Q1.
That's nearly triple the profit year over year.
Yes, it's a very significant increase. And the EPS reflects that, more than doubling from 2.97 rupees in Q1 FY25 to 8.89 rupees in Q1 FY26.
So whichever way you slice it, Q1 was a very strong quarter.
Undeniably. The significant growth in both income and profit, especially that huge year-over-year PAT jump, points to a really robust start to their financial year. It suggests they're navigating the current market conditions very effectively.
And for listeners trying to read the tea leaves, what might this performance suggest about the broader market PNB Gilts operates in?
Well, without explicit guidance, that strong interest income and the significant gains on securities could subtly indicate, perhaps, a stable or favorable interest rate environment during the quarter, or maybe strong demand dynamics in the government bond market that they capitalized on. It shows the core business is firing on all cylinders.
Makes sense. Now, these are unaudited results. What level of scrutiny did they undergo before being released?
Good point. They are unaudited, but they weren't just put out there. They were first reviewed by the company's audit committee. Then they were approved by the full board of directors in that July 23rd meeting we discussed. And importantly, their statutory auditors, and this is Batra Deepak and Associates, conducted a limited review of these results.
So not a full audit, but an independent review by the auditors.
Correct. It provides a level of assurance.
Sure.
It's also worth mentioning they follow Indian accounting standards, Ind AS, and for valuing their crucial securities portfolio, they use prices declared by FIBMDA. That's the Fixed Income Money Market and Derivatives Association of India, following RBI guidelines for primary dealers like themselves.
Right, those specialized firms acting as market makers in government bonds. Okay, bringing this all together then. So what does this all mean for you, our listener, who's curious about how these financial institutions work and what their results tell us?
Well, I think this deep dive really gave us two clear views. First, a look at the governance machinery, the long-term auditor appointment, the AGM plans, the conditional dividend process. It shows how the company structures itself. And second, a snapshot of really strong financial health in Q1 of FY26. We saw significant growth in income and particularly profit driven by those core activities. Earning interest and making gains on securities, both QOQ and YOI growth look very healthy.
Definitely a strong start. So here's a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. Given that PNB Gilts makes so much of its money from interest income and trading gains, especially in government securities, what might these really strong Q1 results subtly hint about the overall health and direction of the wider Indian debt market right now and maybe in the near future? Even though they haven't given specific forecasts, it's something to consider as you continue your own deep dives into the fascinating world of finance.